Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and today we're going to be unboxing, believe it or not, another Packard Bell. This is going to be Packard Bell number 3 for this year, and if I'm not mistaken, Packard Bell number 32, since I got my first one back in 1995. But anyway, the story behind this is, those in the vintage computer scene may recall this past week hearing about a store in the Dallas, Texas area that sold nothing but vintage computers and vintage computer equipment for very good prices, and they had aisles and aisles and aisles of this stuff. I would have loved to have had that store around here in my area, but anyway, the store unfortunately had to go out of business. But a good friend of mine here on YouTube lived not far from that area, and he said that if they had any Packard Bells there, he'd grab one for me, and he certainly did. He got me one and sent it off to me through UPS, and it arrived today. The person that I'm referring to is YouTube user Mr. 831. I've known him for a good chunk of my YouTube career, since about 2010, 2011. He makes a lot of good videos, a lot of good stuff about the old Humongous Entertainment games. So, enough jibber-jabbing, let's start unboxing this. And by the way, this computer was a gift. All I had to do was just pay the shipping. So, Mr. 831, I am very, very, very grateful for this wonderful little donation. My ever-growing Packard Bell collection. Got it taped up nice and good. So, try to do this without the address label getting shown. Okay. Get this side, if I can. There's always that one part of the box that doesn't want to come undone. There we go. Alright, and no privacy was breached. We've got some instant air, I guess you'd call it. Some bubble wrap. I believe it's just the computer itself that's in here, nothing else. So, here we go. All right. Here it is. This is the Packard Bell Force 102 CD. And this computer is unique for 2 reasons. One, this, believe it or not, is the oldest Packard Bell I have ever owned. This computer dates from, well, it has a manufacturing date, that is, November 30th of 1994. And I've never owned a Packard Bell made before 1995 before. And despite it being the oldest Packard Bell I've ever owned, it's still a Pentium. This is a very, very early Socket 5 Pentium. I believe it's clocked at 90 megahertz. It's also unique in that it uses a motherboard that I've never used before on a Packard Bell. I believe it's called the PB520R, or otherwise known as the Robin board. And it's one of Packard Bell's very first Pentium motherboards. I believe they had a Socket 4 quite similar to this board before they made this one. But anyway, let's put this up on the workbench and take a closer look, shall we? Okay, here's a better view of it. Now, as you can see, there is a good bit of yellowing done to this computer, unfortunately. So we're going to have to do some retrobrighting sometime this summer. I have retrobrighted a couple of things already this past couple of weeks, and I did it using Perry Fractic's retro recipes method that he discovered recently, where you just simply leave yellowed plastics out in direct sunlight outside for a couple of days, and the yellowing starts to go away. It's not as immediate as using chemical-based substances, but it does get the job done, and it is a lot easier than using the chemicals. Don't know if I'll do the sun method for this, since this is a bit more yellowed than before. I was the two things I de-yellowed out in the sun recently were the faceplate for the Packard Bell Platinum 22 and the Packard Bell Legend 1510 Supreme, and both of those came out looking pretty good. But anyway, back to this computer. Let's pinch me. Look to the back here. There's our manufacture date of November 30th, 1994. At that point in time in my life, I didn't even know computers existed. Got our sound card, presumably the Packard Bell branded one. Got a modem with some cool little dip switches. And what appears to be a network card with all kinds of ports. Got your keyboard, mouse, serial, parallel, and VGA. And this is property of Paradigm Simulation Incorporated. Now, he told me about this when he got this computer, that this was used by the company that made a lot of Nintendo 64 games, I believe. So that's really, really cool. So let's take the cover off. There are no screws in here for some reason. And take a look inside. Okay, there's our CPU. That is indeed a Socket 5. I believe that's a 90 megahertz Pentium. There's our sound card. That is the Packard Bell card. Got our modem there. I don't believe that's an original modem. And our network card. A little bit dusty in here. Ew. Yeah. This Packard Bell, ladies and gentlemen, includes the dreaded, highly hated, and for good reason, Dallas real-time clock chip. And from what I can tell, it's permanently soldered to the motherboard. And unless this computer has an external battery header, it's going to be a pain to replace that. I just don't have the skills to do that with. So I might have to get a friend of mine to replace that with something a little bit more modern. Don't know. Again, I don't know if there's a external battery header on here or not. Would be nice if there was, though. Very, very nice. Okay. Anyway, we've got a 2-speed CD-ROM drive, which is actually connected to the sound card. I've never had a Packard Bell like that before, or any computer for that matter, connected to the sound card. Of course, that was a very, very common thing at this point in history. Got our 3.5-inch floppy drive by Panasonic, and the original 540 megabyte Seagate hard drive. And for memory, looks like it's all soldered to the board, it looks like. That's interesting. So, without further ado, let's hook this up to the test bench and see if it'll power up. Alright, here we go. I'm pretty sure this is going to work because he sent me some pictures of it booted to the Windows desktop, so yeah, unless something happened during shipping, we should be good to go. But anyway, first power up in this home. I will be really surprised if that Dallas clock chip is still working. We've got 8 megs of RAM. Just picking up the hard drive. You've got to be kidding me. You mean to tell me the Dallas clock chip works? This is nothing short of a miracle, folks. This is a miracle. A nearly 25-year-old Dallas clock chip is still working. Okay, we got some errors there, but we're not going to be keeping this Windows install. This is booting into Windows 95. This computer would have originally come with Windows for Workgroups 3.11 since it's from 94. That CD-ROM doesn't sound too happy. And apparently this was upgraded to Windows 95 at some point in its life. Oh, they're using the space theme from the Plus Pack. Nice. Don't have any speakers hooked up, so no sound. Oh wait, this isn't the space theme, this is the science theme. My apologies for the inaccuracy there. Alright, let's see what we got here. Got a Packard Bell folder. Yeah, this has the 94-95 software pack. This is, I did a video about the 94-95 software pack a couple of months ago actually, so check that out if you want to see more of that. Let's look at our system credentials. Since this is the original hard drive, it'll be on there. And yes, I will be backing this up. Yep, Force 102 CD, format number 555500, 90 megahertz Pentium, 8 megs of RAM. I believe that's soldered to the board. Let's see, what's the data? Again, nothing short of a miracle, folks. That is the correct date. Friday, May 31st, 2019. This computer amazes me. Of course, I know the battery's going to have to die eventually, and that probably won't be much longer from now, but for now, let's just enjoy the fact that after nearly 25 years, the battery still works. Which is good, seeing that these batteries are a pain in the butt to replace. You may recall the pain I went through with the Dallas clock chip on my Gateway 2000 P590 last year. That's a long story, but I got it replaced by a friend of mine, and exceeds all test parameters. It would have been awkward if Packard Bell ever made a computer that said it did not exceed test parameters, but... And we have a test date of November 30th, 1994. I was 5 years old. I just turned 5 years old a couple of days before that. Let's see, go under My Computer. There's our C drive. Let's see how much free space we have. Not much. Again, this is a 520 meg hard drive, it appears, which was not a lot, even in late 1994. But we got 430 megs used, and only 87 free. Let's see what else we've got on here. An After Dark folder. I think that's what was causing those errors at the startup. So we got files going back to November 22nd, 1994. It must be when the software image was put on here. And this proves my theory that it was upgraded from Windows 3.1 at one time. We have a DOS folder, which would have housed DOS 6.2, I believe. And yeah, and there was a WinDRVS folder which would have housed the Windows 3.1 install files. Wonder when it would have been upgraded. But yeah, that is really, really cool. Let's check our system properties. Okay, this is 95 RTM, registered to Ron Page of Paradigm Simulation Incorporated. Our device manager. Got a Diamond Speedstar 64 video card. Thought this was a Cirrus Logic because I see a Cirrus Logic chip in there, but oh well, who knows. 14.4 modem, a NE2000 compatible network card, and a bunch of IRQ conflicts, it appears, for the communications ports, which was a pretty common thing for Packard Bells. Aztec Sound Galaxy Washington 16, and all the chipset mumbo jumbo. Under programs again, got Microsoft Word on here. What version? Well, let's find out. Office 95. The first 32-bit version of Microsoft Office. You can just hear that hard drive clattering away. That will be upgraded to a bigger drive or a bigger CF card or SD card. I still can't believe that Dallas clock chip's still working. So there we go, there's Word 95. Okay, here's a little bit more history on the background of this computer from a message Mr. 831 sent me about this computer before he shipped it off to me. It was used by a guy at Paradigm Simulations, and they were a company that was partly responsible for several early 3D experimentation experiments on the Nintendo 64, which is really, really cool. Unfortunately, he said all the personal files on here had already been deleted, so we don't get any long-lost files on here from N64 experiments. But still, the fact that this was owned by Paradigm is pretty cool. And he did say the CD-ROM drive works. It just makes a squeaking sound, and more than likely it's on its way out anyway. But we can give it a quick little test with something. Let's see. Pajama Sam. Why not? There's not going to be any sound, of course, since I don't have speakers connected, but we did test this with Putt Putt Joins the Parade when he got this computer the other week. Drive was manufactured September 1994. I'm not getting any action here. Now we are. Just a very old Windows install. Again, this will be restored to factory settings with Windows for Workgroups 3.11. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Again, sorry for the lack of audio. You bowels. But there you go. CD-ROM does work reasonably enough. Go ahead and pop that back out. This computer, other than being retro-brighted, is also going to need some cleaning. There's some scuff marks all over it Here's the top cover. Probably need to take a magic eraser to that part right there. And again, it will need to be retro brighted. I will try the sun method at first. If that doesn't put a dent in it, I'll try the old-fashioned method with hydrogen peroxide, which I'm a little bit nervous about because I've never done that before, but you know, you got to start somewhere. So, I'll do a follow-up video on this computer at a later date. I just wanted to show you my initial reaction to it. So, thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off. Thank you for visiting the Nostalgia Mall. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also support me on Patreon if you would like. The link to all of these are down below. Until next time, this is Billy Core, signing off.